Of all the artists in the world, nature is by far the best, and it is very hard to replicate nature's beauty, and that is why it's very intriguing to most artists to try to reproduce. The Aurora Borealis is a good example of this. It's one of nature's finest, and its various colors and different gradients are provoking to an artist in that they want to figure out how it's done, and they want to recreate it in their own way and master it. And from the artist's stance, that's why it's interesting, and that's why part of the reason that we chose this image.
We also thought that the Aurora Borealis would relate well to science in a couple different ways. One of the ways that it really stuck out to me was talking about magnetism. And so the aurora occurs because of our magnetic field. And so when the sun sends solar winds and solar flares, they are channeled by our magnetic field to our poles, which is why we see the aurora in our polar regions. But when those solar winds are particularly strong, they will channel down even more into our mid-latitudes. And so that's just one way that you could relate this to a science concept.
Another way you can relate this to a science concept is through chemistry, especially in earth science, when you're looking at other planets as well as ours. Each chemical, each gas has its own spectrum in the light realm, and so we can tell by the colors what gas it is, because it's basically its own genetic footprint, so to speak. And so that's how we can relate the aurora with chemistry, as well as also blending it in with other planetary observations throughout our solar system.
When relating it to art, things that we can look at is color theory and color matching, and how to figure out how to match the colors and get a gradiency like it has in the Aurora Borealis. And it has unique lines and creates movement, and those are some of the things we look at as well.
And so overall, we thought that you could relate both the art and the science to permeability and solubility of not only the materials, or using the pigments or the salt and the vinegar and the alcohol, and so seeing how those would relate, and also with permeability of, in this case with the silkscreen, how the pigments would soak into the canvas. And so we talked about earlier how you couldn't just use tape because it wouldn't stop on the surface, it would actually soak into it.
In the salting process, what we did was we made sure that while the paint was or the colors were still wet, that we pulled in our salt so that we could get some of these movement things going on in there. And then on this side we used a lot more alcohol. We did not use vinegar, only due to the fact that we felt that the alcohol and the salt would give us more of what we wanted to come through, and that was the movement that is created in the aurora. If you've ever seen one, you see how much movement is going on, and we wanted to pull that into our painting.
Some reasons we thought it was important to collaborate was because we thought that need to know what you're looking at and how it works are important to both artists and scientists.
With collaboration also, it's just good to learn how to work with a team, whether it is interdiscipline or outside of your discipline, but just being able to cooperate and understand that each person can bring something different to the table.
A positive attitude was something that all of us had, which made it a good work environment. If you have anything, if you have a negative attitude, then it's gonna be portrayed in how you're working together. And in our team, I felt we were all very optimistic, extremely positive, and it just made it a lot of fun. And blending our ideas, it made those a lot more simpler, because we could focus on the job at hand, not at our own individual agendas, which was, I think, a good positive for us.